So you and I are both professors at a university here in Indiana, an assistant professor and an associate professor of psychology. And so we do.
Well, I'm glad you told everyone. You're better than I am.
Listen. We're friends.
That's right. Friends have disagreements sometimes.
Totally.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I am Beth.
And I'm Deb.
And this is the Beth and Deb Show.
Don't you?
I know. I love that. Today we're talking about friendships.
Friendships.
Yeah, I love friends.
Sure. Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
Well, some people have disorders where they don't want friends, but most people, it's true.
It is true. That's very rare though, y'all. So
Very
if
rare.
you are out there and you're like, I don't really love my friends right now, it probably doesn't mean you have a disorder.
No, I'm talking about people. I'm talking about people who don't care. Like, they just want to be alone. And they really don't care about friendships.
Isn't that sort of what happened when we went on that study abroad trip? And you were like, I sort of don't want to be around you right now.
Well, that's different because I do generally like people, but sometimes you need alone time too.
I'm totally down. I'm an introvert.
Okay. Me
So,
too.
friendships.
Yes, friendships.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Love 'em.
So, I want to spend a little time talking today about the importance of friendships, particularly in college,
Mhm.
right? And frankly, even post high school. So if you're not a person who's in college, that's okay. All of this
Yeah.
is going to apply to you as well. So, there are some researchers who are coming up with this, I don't know, maybe kind of a new idea that friendship is actually one of our needs.
Oh, sure.
That like we could put it in the same category as other needs,
Mhm.
Food, water, shelter, that we are sort of built to be social creatures. And so we need friends,
Yes.
And I know I've been in lots of situations where I'm like, gosh, I'm so thankful for my friends.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure where I would have been
Sure.
without friendships.
Yeah, and think of like when you were in middle school, high school, when friendships really started becoming essential. And if you didn't have friends, then that was very stressful. And
Yeah.
you're thinking, how do I make more friends? And what's wrong with me that I don't have? I'm not one of the popular kids or something. That's what I thought. But you probably were one of the popular kids. I
Yeah.
was not. Oh, really?
No, not really. I was probably in that middle range.
Okay.
I
I was a huge dork. So, I had friends, but I was more of the like close inner circle kind of person.
I think I was probably more extroverted and had, I was an athlete in high school. And so
Ooh.
I had sort of my teammates who
Yeah.
were sort of my built-in friends.
Non-athletic. Completely. Shocking. I know, but
So we study, right? So we are
Yes.
researchers and clinicians, and we work with folks in therapy too. And so we generally try to start at looking at the research and like, what are people saying about
Mhm.
this? And so it's interesting because we have research that has kind of told us that having friends has a lot of good benefits, right? So especially in college, especially having just one close friend, having a best
Mhm.
friend is not just in elementary school, like having a best friend as you're older also is linked to other outcomes, like, being able to make better choices about
Mhm.
substances. We have research that talks about the report of suicidal thoughts and
Mhm.
behaviors, that if you have a friend that you're more likely to confide in, and that friend is more likely to help you. The report of rape or sexual assault, if you have friends, you're more likely to report and they're more likely to support you there. And, really for the college population, especially creating this sense of belonging, right? That I have sort of my crew,
Yeah.
right? And having that sense of belonging is linked to all sorts of things: higher academics, more success, better grades, better attendance in college, that sort of thing. So, we have all this research that says having friends is really great for you.
That's great. So how do I make friends?
Yeah, so here's the problem. We don't have a ton of great research on like what's the best way to do that.
Oh.
you know? So
Shoot.
there really aren't, I sort of, as I was studying, it was like, I guess we must think it's common sense.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
like everybody
oh,
knows how to
just
meet
make
people.
friends. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's hard.
Yeah, I think that like in thinking about the people who I've seen for counseling, or even like myself as I've gotten older and, you know, high school friends aren't around, college friends are maybe, you know, spread around or whatever. How do you make friends if you're just like going to work and having a family and things like that? It's hard because you really have to, well, when you get older, your personality is set, you know, like it's harder
sure.
to kind of like meet people.
Yeah.
And seeing people in counseling, I think I encounter that too of like, I need more friends, but I don't know what to do. Like I'm introverted or I can't just put myself out there. What do I do?
Yeah. How do I meet new people?
Yeah.
I think it's especially true for our college students too, because they, you know, they had a high school
Yeah.
group, maybe,
Mhm.
you know, even for folks who didn't have a huge support network, still had a few friends that they were with for at least the last 4 years or so. And so then you get to college, and if you go to a big college, then you are like, you know, lost in a sea of people.
Sure.
If you're on a commuter college, you don't have the benefit of the dorms and kind of having a group of people. And so I think we should talk a little bit about what we have seen be helpful for folks in meeting new people.
Sure.
And I think the first thing, and really probably the biggest thing, is to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Right? You have to kind of make yourself available to other people. And so that means that you can't just sit in the back of the class, scurry in right before, you know, class starts and scurry out right as soon as class is over. You know, you kind of have to stick around and maybe talk to the person next to you, and maybe, you know, go to the coffee shop or the cafeteria on campus.
I don't know, Beth, that feels pretty scary. Like,
pretty scary.
We've talked in other videos about how our emotions and thoughts go along. We may want to make friends, but we have these thoughts and feelings that are making us want to just, you know, curl up and leave as soon as possible to get away from that feeling. Like it's, for some people, it's so anxiety provoking to even think about talking to a stranger, you know, like, oh, what if they think I'm weird? What if they don't like me? What if, you know, like what if, whatever.
Yes, always. And then that's what keeps us from engaging with other people.
Yeah.
Right. It's like we allow that thought process to take over.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I don't need friends. I'm just going to go ahead and go. It's fine. Like you rationalize in your mind that you are good. Right. And it gets you out of having to be in that discomfort. Yeah. Right. That uncomfortable situation. And maybe it starts with just saying hi, you know, or asking about the last class or an upcoming assignment that you have going on. But I think it comes down to our fear of vulnerability. Yeah. You know, so my professional hero, Brene Brown.
Yes.
Love her. So I've never met her, but I feel like
you're going to someday.
I feel like we could be friends.
Absolutely.
We totally could be friends because she curses and just about all of her talks. And so do I. And
probably not much on these videos though.
I haven't yet, but I probably will. Really? I try not to drop the F-bomb right away, but you know, like it's just, and interestingly, I don't curse around my children.
I don't either.
You know, but I can drop a good shit damn every so often. Anyway. So Brene Brown is a shame and vulnerability researcher. Yeah. And if you are not familiar with her work, I would highly recommend just about anything. She's got a great TED Talk that's been viewed like 10 million times or something.
Probably the best way to like get introduced to her work is that quick 15-minute
TED Talk. Yeah, that's great. But, you know, vulnerability is really like being seen, like allowing yourself to be seen. Yeah. And that is sometimes something that's really scary for us. And she talks about a few myths of vulnerability in her book, Daring Greatly. And so I want to talk about a few of those because I think my work in therapy with folks, and probably yours too, we hear people talk about vulnerability. Like one of the first myths is that vulnerability is weakness,
Yeah.
right? That I can't be vulnerable. I can't let people know my flaws or my kind of softer side. I've got to always have this front that I've got it all together and I am picture perfect ready all the time.
Right.
And we are kind of in an age of perfection
Everybody
is
seems
expectation.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So we think if I let some of that out, people are going to see me as weak. And I find in both my personal life and in my professional life that vulnerability is the key to getting to know people.
Yeah. Nobody wants to be friends with the perfect person. Because then
so true.
Like, I can't relate to that. I'm not perfect. And if you're perfect, I think you're just going to judge me for all of my imperfections, you know? So you may think, oh, projecting this strength and perfection is going to make people like me more. But actually, maybe the opposite is true a little bit. Not that you should just be like, you know, putting it all out there the first second you meet somebody, but it's much more relatable to be real.
Yes.
About, you know, who you are and that you're not this perfect Instagram model or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Vulnerability really provides that realness.
Yes.
You know, and actually one of the things you just said is another myth of vulnerability, right? So we're afraid and we're only going to put out our front. And so we're not going to share anything. And then the flip side of that is, well, vulnerability means I got to put all my business out there.
Right.
And that is not the truth of vulnerability.
Yeah. Because that's another turn off too, is if you meet somebody for the first time and they're telling you their childhood trauma and this and that, it's like, that might be a little bit too much for our first coffee get together or whatever, you know.
Right. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, you might have somebody who shares some deep, dark personal stuff. And, one of the things my husband says a lot is, I don't know you like that.
Right. Yeah. You know? We're not ready. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
Right.
And
like
I
someday,
think
maybe.
there's some, or maybe not.
Maybe not.
I think there's some kind of art in relationships to kind of slowly trickling some of the things. And, I think I usually start with things that are common.
Sure.
A common interest that we both have, so maybe it's the class that you're in. Maybe it's that you both love a certain team, or maybe you both love music, or,
have kids, or, are in relationships, or whatever you can kind of commiserate about.
Yeah, absolutely. And so oversharing is not what vulnerability is, but sharing little parts about you. And it's okay to share the parts about you that feel the safest.
Yeah.
So like, I have 4 kids. And so I often share that I have 4 kids. I work as a college professor, right? I share that. I am a psychologist. I sometimes share that 3rd or 4th because then people don't necessarily want to dump all their stuff.
Right.
But, you start by sharing little pieces and then you find that common ground with someone. Yeah. One other myth of vulnerability is I am good by myself. Like I can go this alone, So Brene Brown talks about this myth that I can do this on my own. I don't need to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need people to see those flaws. I've got this. It's so not true.
No. So not true. Have you ever tried to do that?
Yeah, for sure. You get into these places of, I'm making this face like anguish almost, where like you're in this dark place and you're like, forget it.
Yeah.
And maybe that is part of it, that we sometimes need to be the most vulnerable when maybe we feel the least like we want to do it, So like in those moments of struggle, rather than saying, I'm good, I've got this, I can do this on my own. Maybe the mantra in your house growing up was suck it up and move forward. Right? I think a lot of people grow up in houses like that where it's suck it up, move on, let it roll off your back. But vulnerability and being in a relationship with people is more than that. It's saying, I'm here. Here I am. Yeah. And kind of my flaws and my struggle.
Yeah. One metaphor that I use a lot in therapy is that building that wall around your vulnerable self. You think, I'm protecting myself, but really you're keeping other people out. Yeah. And so a lot of times with clients in that little in that vein of like sharing bits at a time, we start talking about, well, how could you like take one brick out of the wall to kind of peek through at someone? Or how could you like, okay, create a door in your wall or some, some little thing that can let someone inside so you just don't have to be alone in whatever it is you're going through. Because everybody goes through things. It's not weird or unusual.
Yeah, struggle is universal.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, everybody experiences struggle. Some of it big, some of it small. Some of us respond one way or the other.
Yeah.
But struggle is universal.
Sure.
Yeah. I think the other thing about putting yourself out there, and we kind of touched on this a little bit, is that it's going to be uncomfortable.
Definitely.
So putting yourself out there, stepping outside of your comfort zone, there's a reason it's called a comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason that when you step out of it, it's not your comfort anymore.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable, right? And, we can tolerate discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something that, I've learned as I have gotten a little bit older and wiser, that we can tolerate a fair amount of discomfort before we just like totally shut down.
Sure.
So realizing that discomfort is the way to grow.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about sort of stretching and growing, and sometimes I bring in like a yoga metaphor because I kind of have a love-hate for yoga.
Yes.
That like, it is painful, right? That stretching is painful.
Yeah.
But stretching is the only way to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you're stepping out and you're stretching yourself outside of your comfort zone, you are growing
Yes.
not only your friendship circle, but really you're growing a lot yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like that preparation ahead of time to say, okay, I'm not going to go into this thinking it's going to be easy and fun, but it's one of these necessary things that'll be great for me in the long run. And I can handle feeling uncomfortable for a little while.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to kind of put yourself out there?
Constantly. I'm an introvert and I get up and I teach in front of students. I give, talks in front of other professionals. It's terrifying.
Yeah. So can you share, like, what feelings do you have?
I think it's gotten better for me as I've gotten older and I've done it more. But I think that in the beginning, I just it just feels uncomfortable when people are looking at you.
Yeah.
You just think, what if they think I'm stupid?
Yeah.
Or like, what if I make a mistake or they know something that I don't about this research? Whatever it is. Now that's a professional setting, but even in friendships, I'm an introvert and I don't really enjoy meeting a lot of new people. So for me, I've had to do different things to make friends, especially in adulthood. But so I did stuff that was comfortable for me. So like having a dinner party where I invited a few people over, and then that kind of slowly started to build. Because I'm comfortable with cooking and making, sharing food with people. That's kind of something that I view as my strength. So I played on my strength, invite people over to cook for them, and then, friendships grow out of that.
Yeah. And maybe one friend of yours brings another person who they're close to.
Sure.
And then you kind of slowly build friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but I love the idea of, you don't have to be friends with everyone.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we get it in our head that I don't have any friends. I've got to make friends. And we forget that, your inner circle is only a few people.
Yes.
And you don't have to have lots and lots and lots of friends.
And that's all. If you have that, you can have lots of friends. That's fine.
Great.
That's good if that's your personality type. But as long as you have just a few people you can trust and rely on.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So really the first thing is to put yourself out there and know that it's going to be uncomfortable, right? And that's okay. It can be uncomfortable and you can overcome that.
But I think what I said about cooking is a really good part. One way to make yourself feel less vulnerable is engaging in an activity you feel really comfortable with. So it's not like I'm not going to go join the basketball club.
Yeah.
Because I'm not athletic.
That's great.
But if I join, whatever I'm interested in, I know a lot about, I can talk about, then that's going to make it easier to engage with people around you. So pick things that you know you're good at, that you feel confident in, and go do those things with other people.
And that actually brings up another really great point, is that you're more likely to find people who are like you.
Yeah.
Which are going to be easier kind of
Right.
friends to make because you already have that unique interest. So if you're a person who likes music and you go to like a jazz club or something,
Yeah.
right? You're going to meet other people there. And so it's going to be a little bit easier to kind of
find things in common.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So I think that's sort of our next idea is to get involved.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Step out of your comfort zone, and not just step out of your comfort zone to like say hi to random people that you're never going to see again, because that's not really the way to make friends. You could practice that way, I guess.
Sure.
But I think getting involved, join a club, find an organization, volunteer at a place that sort of matters to you. On our campus, we do a lot of service learning, maybe, a group project or something like that. Join a study group. You have been the kind of faculty advisor for a couple of groups on campus. And, are there other ideas in terms of getting folks involved in groups, like suggestions you have?
Well, I think for a lot of people, if you're not kind of in a traditional college situation where you're just on campus all day, you may have a little part-time job. A lot of our students are working full-time. They may have families.
Yeah.
They have a lot of responsibilities and commitments. So even just like doing one thing. So that maybe, even if you can't join a club or a group, what if you just talk to one person in your class that you find like they've made a funny joke that that you liked, or, you just happen to sit near them and, say something to them every once in a while in class. What if you went to the next step and said, hey, could we talk like after class about this assignment coming up? Do you have any ideas? Or would you be my partner on this group project? Or whatever it is, just taking one little step, even if you can't take a big step, like joining a group or, whatever it is, then there are always ways to just do a little something more.
Yeah, I love that idea. And I talk with students about that too, that it's like, look around the room and who are you drawn to?
Yeah.
Like who are you drawn to? And then maybe you can say just one thing to them.
Sure.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, not all places have clubs, but taking some small steps, and maybe even in your job, you could do that. You could do that too. I think a big key is to not isolate.
Yeah.
Right? Like, don't get stuck in isolation, because isolation is when that swarm of negative thoughts comes. You allow yourself to kind of get stuck in that.
Yeah.
And, we have talked about that in other videos too, where you kind of get stuck in this cloud and this swarm of things. And so if you feel yourself starting to isolate, try to get out and do something different, right? Because that isolation is going to convince you that you're okay and you don't need friends. And I think developing some communication skills, right? So sometimes it really is learning, hey, what is my face saying? We talk about facial expressions a lot because we both have
your face.
We have pretty expressive faces, and I have pretty expressive everything.
Yes.
And so that was pretty quick, actually. You sort of said yes pretty quickly.
Oh, sorry. No, not you. What?
I think some of it is awareness of what is my body and my face saying about my desire to be a part of a new friend group.
Yeah.
So if I'm a person who's sitting in class like this the whole time.
Yes.
Or if someone's talking to me and I'm still like, I think, and that might be an extreme example.
But you might think, oh, I'm playing it cool. I don't want to seem too eager. I don't want to be like a puppy.
I don't want to be desperate.
Hi.
I've been praying for you.
Right. And you know what? When I was younger, I had that problem a lot. Is that I'm more of a shy person. I'm not, that puppy dog person. I'm more of a cat, right? Like I'm a cat. I kind of like will stand back and check you out before I let you pet my head. But people take that as, oh, she's not interested. She thinks I'm, other people, they're not thinking, oh, she's shy.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Yeah.
thinking, oh, she doesn't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
She's stuck up. She thinks
She's a
she's better, you know.
Mhm.
She just wants to get out of here.
Yeah.
But that's not what was happening for me internally. It was more of like, oh, I just feel really awkward in this situation. I don't know what to do or say. But it comes off differently to people.
Yeah. And if you're a person who's wanting to meet people, your
Uh-huh.
body and your face has to say that.
Yes.
You know? So what's something that you think, you know, for me, it's like smiling, you know, and maybe not, but some version of like kind of looking interested.
Yeah, like making eye contact with people if that is, you know, naturally happening. And just, you know, if you're walking into a class, say hi to someone.
Yeah. Wave.
You know, don't, like you said, don't go sit in the back corner. And
Yeah.
even if that's what you feel like doing inside, take one little step, sit near, maybe one seat away
Yeah. That's
from another
that
person.
unwritten rule.
Right, like
Yeah.
respect their bubble,
Yeah.
but then say, hey, how are you doing today?
Yeah.
Something as simple as that can make you seem more approachable.
Yeah, so I think I love that idea of, you know, not always walking down, or frankly, if you're on your phone, you know, for that few minutes before class starts, or for, you know, your little break between classes or something. If you are just on your phone the whole time, you're definitely not going to be approachable to
Yeah.
folks. So set it down, set it to the side,
Mhm.
give yourself some space.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you feel like, gosh, you know, Beth, it's really beyond that. Like, I am more anxious
That's
than
more than
most people.
Right, yeah.
Then it may be worthwhile to see a professional and say, hey,
Yeah.
I've got really serious social anxiety.
Yeah. So if you're having, you know, feelings, panic attacks,
Mhm.
when you think about approaching
Yeah.
someone, lots of negative thoughts about it, that's something a counselor can really help you work through and change so that you can have those relationships that you want.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
So I think we'll probably talk about more examples,
Yeah.
share more thoughts, and we want to invite all of you to comment on our Facebook or Instagram with
Instagram.
how do you make friends? You know,
Yeah.
I think all of us have some really great tips of things that work for us, and we'd love to hear from you. So follow us on Facebook, The
Yeah.
Beth and Deb Show, and on Instagram,
Instagram, it's Beth and Deb.
Beth and Deb. Yeah,
And we'll probably flash those on the screen. Flash, hopefully.
maybe like right here,
Hopefully we
or right up
figure
here,
out how to do
or
that.
over here.
All right.
Great job, friend.
Oh.
Now it's recording.
Okay, now it's recording. Maybe we went over some kind of invisible time limit.
Okay, read that one.
Okay.